If I was to participate again for the first time in the Biology Olympiad, this would be my absolute game plan to ace that exam. Hi everybody and welcome back to the Premed Journal. I'm your host Maria, and in this podcast episode we're all talking about study hacks for the Biology Olympiad, how you can make your way easier into studying biology for this contest, and what I learned throughout my journey. So yeah. Okay, so my first tip for you would be to, based on the country you're in and the grade, would be to search the topics you have to learn and study them as early as possible. Because if you have enough time to study them, you would be able to reinforce that subject over and over again throughout the school year, so you would be more prepared by the time that the Olympiad comes, which is in like February, March, I think, for most European countries. Next tip would be, now that you have in mind what topics you have to learn, search up National Biology Olympiad, your country, your grade, and search mock exams. And I don't want you to do mock exams if you didn't even study the topics you have to study, but what you're going to do is to scan the exam, see them and see which topics are more common. For example, if you have molecular biology, let's say the cells, but also genetics, which one of them is more prioritized. So by the time you start studying, you know what topics to reinforce and knew almost perfectly. I'm not saying to not study the other topics, you have to know pretty much everything, but if your time is quite short, or if you feel like it's a lot, it's better to prioritize the topics that are going to be more in the exams compared to the questions that are not that much. Now we're going into note-taking. Okay, so my first advice to you into note-taking would be to have a completely separate notebook for the Olympiad, or a separate folder, and I'm going to show you mine. I have two actually. So these are my notebooks for the Olympiad, and they have a lot of information in them. So I'm going to show you like an overall. Yeah. Also, for new topics, try to do post-its, and here you write, I don't know if it's focusing. Here you have the name of the topic, and under it you have the definition. I think the camera focuses on my face, but you get the idea. And I have this one as well. So yeah, try to have separate notebooks or folders and take it like that. Also, into note-taking, you will have images in the book. Don't try to draw them. I know that high school biology teachers have like this obsession to draw the images from the book. I personally view that as a waste of time, honestly. So what I do, if you have the possibility, I know that not everyone has a printer, but if you do, try to print the images from the book and stick them into your notebook or into your notes. I have it like this. So this is one of my anatomy notes, and here, as you can see, I have a drawing which is printed. I haven't drawn it or anything. And if you don't have a printer, or if you can't print it, try to learn them directly from the book. A study hack that I think is really important, that really helped me, I think this one helped me the most, would be, if you don't have time, if you are really, maybe you're in exam season during the school year, which is around November, or if your program is full, take like 2 hours in a weekend night and record all of your notes and arrange it in your phone like a podcast episode, So for example, if you have the cell, make an episode of the cell, but it's just you reading your notes. And for example, if you go to the gym or if you go somewhere, instead of listening to music, listen to these podcast episodes. For me, when I was first year into high school, I did this, and I used to listen my biology notes at the gym instead of music, and it was perfect. Like that Biology Olympiad, it was the regional phase, and I had a really good score. Like I was really happy with it, and I think this helped the most, the fact that I listened to it every single day as a podcast. Okay, now we're going into the mock exams, which I think are the most important part. And here you already know, like you already learned, you already study, you kind of know what's up. And what you're going to do would be to do a lot of mock exams, correct them, and see which are the questions that you got wrong the most, and focus on those topics that you got wrong more. And also now, when I participated in the Biology Olympiad, that ChatGPT wasn't like a thing, but now you can really make use of it, and I'm always gonna promote it in a smart way. And what you're going to do would be, I'm gonna give you an example. You had question 1. You had 3 options, A, B, and C. Let's say A was correct and B and C were wrong. You're gonna put that question into ChatGPT and ask to explain why A was correct and B and C were wrong, because in that way you really understand the system behind it and why sometimes the questions are really tricky in the mock exams. And it can be really confusing. You can really think, oh my god, this is correct, and not to be. So in this way you really understand the thought process. And I'm going into my next advice. Really connect the different lessons from the topic that you have. Connect the lessons and try to learn it like a story. Don't try to memorize it, because that way you're going to, 1, forget it easier, 2, don't understand it, 3, get wrong answers in the exam. Try to understand why a thing connects to the other. Don't just study just to study. Study to understand, okay? And from this you can also use ChatGPT. I'm into the ChatGPT section now. So you can also choose ChatGPT, and let's say you put a lessons, you can find a PDF with the lesson that you have or whatever. You're going to put, let's say, 3 lessons into ChatGPT, and you're going to put a script asking ChatGPT to do thinking questions, hard questions that you wouldn't think of, that make you think. I'm gonna put a script here so it would be easier for you. So basically you're gonna ask ChatGPT to make hard questions that make you think and unite the topics that you have, so in that way you understand them better. Also, from the images that I told you have in your book at the beginning of this podcast episode, what you're going to do, again, Mr. ChatGPT, you're going to put the photo into ChatGPT and ask him to do Olympiad questions based on that photo. This way you have more things to work on. The thing is, you can start memorizing theory as much as you want, but if you don't practice, you're gonna be really behind. You have to practice a lot. This is with biology, physics, chemistry, math. You have to practice a lot, because otherwise theory doesn't do much. You can still get wrong things even if you know really well the theory. I think this applies more to math than it does to biology, because in biology you really have to know the theory, but practice is also important. Okay, that was the episode. These were my advices. I really hope it helped you. If you have more questions, I would be really grateful if you could comment down below. And if you like this episode, if you find it useful, don't forget to subscribe and give me a like. It would be really helpful for me and my journey. So yeah, that was it. Bye!